back to the In and Out Talks podcast, guys. I'm your host, Mitch Matulia. Today's special guest, Coach Blaine Johnson. Welcome to the house, man.
Yo, man, we've been trying to get this set up for a while, man.
I know.
I'm glad we got a chance to get it set up, though. Seriously, man. I'm excited about it.
Me too. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to come out here, man.
Sure.
And I know we got a lot to cover today, but first and foremost, where are you from and what's kind of your background with baseball?
Yeah, no. So, born and raised Houston, Texas, man. Went to Westbury High School. Graduated 2005, and then from there went to Texas Southern. Wasn't a big school guy, man. Look, I played baseball and literally passed my classes just so I could play baseball, man. That was it. And so my freshman year at Texas Southern, got an opportunity to go play independent ball in the Pecos Spring League, and I did that for a couple years. Actually, my second year in the Pecos Spring League is when I got my opportunity to coach back in 2012. Coach youth baseball, and I got into that. I've been coaching youth baseball since 2012 now, man. 2012. Yeah.
Because I know we got to know you, Jordan and I, through St. Thomas High School.
Yeah. So that was so from 2012 to 2019, I was pretty much doing just travel ball and select and doing lessons here and there. I actually was a fitness manager for a while. Actually, during that time, as a coach, I was coaching, and my full-time gig was fitness manager. And then 2019 is when I got on at St. Thomas as the head JV coach and was there for a few years. So it was good. I enjoyed it. St. Thomas was awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so growing up, I mean, were you a multi-sport athlete, or did you when was it when you just stuck to baseball?
Bro, I didn't start playing baseball until I was 13.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't start playing until I was 13, my 7th grade year. So what ended up happening is, so for everybody who is from Houston or from the south side of Houston area that's familiar with Bel Air, Lamar, Westbury, all those schools, I went to Persian Middle School. And so I kind of grew up in that, it's like Westview, kind of like Stella Link, Braeswood area.
Yes. And
a buddy of mine, we used to play baseball outside all the time. And a buddy of mine's dad actually was who got us into organized baseball, Little League. And so I was actually scared to play my first year. My brother played, and I watched him have a blast playing his first year. And I'm like, the next year I'm playing. So my first year was when I was 13, and I played senior league baseball for Braes Bayou Little League. Yep.
And that's impressive because for all you viewers out there, like baseball is such a skill sport, right?
Yeah.
Like hand-eye, there's a lot of motor skills involved. You never really hear guys picking it up after the age of 10, 12.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It just came to me naturally. Like, I have this vivid, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. I have this vivid memory of me riding by the park, and it was like a team that was having a team party at the baseball park. And I asked him if I could hit, and I smoked the ball, and I fell in love with that feeling of hitting the ball. And that was it ever since, man. I was like, oh yeah, like I gotta play. So that's that, and playing every summer with friends, man, was really how I got into baseball. And I could hit. I never practiced it outside of playing with them, but like not like that, how these kids have these days with private coaching and instruction and all of that. Man, I didn't have all that. It was just go outside, play baseball with your buddies.
That's how it was with Jordan and I. Like, we didn't really have any like instructors or anybody like guiding us on what to do for college, how to get recruited, any of that.
Yeah.
And so, getting started with baseball when you were 13, was it just select immediately, or was it like you get started with just league ball and then select down the road?
So I never played select baseball.
Never.
So I went from Braes Bayou Little League to then it was. Are y'all familiar with Kyle Chapman?
Yes.
So Kyle Chapman was the I guess select then. Kyle Chapman was super competitive, and then from Kyle Chapman I was supposed to go to Bel Air, man. I was mad.
They have a historic program.
Man, so my 8th grade year, we moved literally like maybe a mile or 2 miles. And I went from being zoned to Bel Air to being zoned to Westbury. And so that's how I ended up going to Westbury, man.
Were you guys competitive at Westbury, or was it just...
Man, we were competitive against like West Side. We were competitive against Madison. We were competitive against Worthing. Like all of the predominantly black schools and the predominantly Hispanic schools we were competitive against. But when it came to like Bel Air, Lamar, man, we would like... First couple of innings, yeah, but then after that, we get our butts kicked.
Because what years did you play there?
I graduated 2005, so 2001, 2002 to 2005, 2001 to '05, something like that.
Okay.
Or 02 to '05, I can't remember.
And what position were you playing throughout high school?
Corner infield, corner outfield.
Wow.
Third base, first base, left field, right field. Yep.
Like, which one did you take to easier? Because I feel like my philosophy is some kids are more inclined to picking up ground balls easier than fly balls, reading balls off the bat like that.
Okay, so in my mind, I thought I was a really good third baseman. I did, man.
So did Jordan.
I'm telling you, in my mind, like I would get mad if I didn't play third base. If my coach put me in the outfield, I'd get pissed. But looking back on it, I was real raw, man. Like everything that came to me baseball wise was because of my hitting. Right, I can hit a ball really well. Defensively, I was okay at third base, but I had a really strong arm. In the outfield, when I first got in the outfield, I was kind of bad at tracking balls, like depth perception. But then once I got that down, being able to track fly balls and having a plus arm was, easier for me. So, but my favorite position though was actually first base.
That's the best.
Yeah,
I was taller. I definitely should.
Dude, I love first base. I love
That's the
first
spot
base.
to be at.
I love first base,
especially if you mash.
that man. And then I love digging balls out when guys made bad throws in the dirt. I don't know. First base just for me, it kind of gave me ownership of the ball's constantly coming to me, and even if those guys made a bad throw, I still had their backs to pick them up. So I enjoy it. And then I was athletic too. Most first basemen were not athletic. They were considered the slow, fat guys. Like balls that, I remember there would be times where our coach would tell the second baseman, hey, if a ball's hit over the first baseman, says you got to go get it.
Right.
Well, I took that as I can go get it. And so when I made that play, being athletic enough to go and make a play, a ball hit where you just got to turn and go, he was like, okay, well, never mind. He's got it. You know what I mean? So it was good. I enjoyed playing. But I love playing first, being an athletic first baseman.
So you're calling off the right fielder, calling off the second baseman.
I got it, bro. Stay away. I got it. I got it. Stay away.
Avoid the tarp down the first baseline, all that.
I got it. Stay away, man. Stay away. Stay away.
And how was the development at Westbury? Did you guys have a good coaching staff with a good background?
Ooh, man. Okay. It kind of went up and down, man. What you put into it is what you'll get out of it. Right. And I think even if you have a bad coach, and when I say a bad coach, I just mean a coach that isn't as knowledgeable about the game, but is passionate about it and is willing to help you, I think that you can still gain a lot from that person, from just a kind of the first word that comes to mind is like a mentor, so to speak, right? And just actually somebody who cares versus a coach who has all this knowledge and information and is trying to talk it at you instead of communicate it to you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I've had both. I've had coaches that are really good, at communicating, but they don't know a lot about the game. But then I've also had coaches that know a lot about the game, but they suck at communicating. And so, for me, I'd much rather have, obviously you want a coach that, knows the game at a high level and is a good communicator. But if I had to pick or choose one or two, it's like, give me the guy that actually gives a damn and that wants to see me succeed versus a guy who's just talking at me and doesn't really see me as a person and my potential.
Absolutely. And I think all successful people, all successful coaches know how to read the individual. And they have to make it tailor-made to that person. Not everyone's going to know the verbal cues. You got to switch it up per the individual. And you got to know, okay, maybe instead of saying load back, it's like, oh, you got to activate this or this.
Right.
You got to
know who's you got to know who's in front of you. And that, for me, though, that's been my biggest reasons why I've had the success that I've had with coaching, the amount of time that I've had, I didn't start out as this coach who knew a bunch about the game of baseball. When I played, I was really raw, and like I said, I was just really good at it, and I took on what I took on, and I made it as far as I made it. just by being a good hitter. I didn't really have anybody to teach me. Like, people gave me information along the way, and I learned things along the way. But probably one of my best coaches ever was one of my JV coaches. And so, like, I had a little period before I went to Westbury. I was actually at Worthing for a year, Worthing High School for a year. And Coach Artisan was my junior varsity coach there, and probably the best coach that I've ever had, because he actually gave a damn about me, you know. And so, and he wanted to see me succeed. And you can feel that, you know what I mean? Like, you can feel when somebody genuinely cares and wants to see you succeed. And so that was one of my biggest takeaways. Now that I try to apply with my coaching, it's you know, still learning, still trying to keep up with all the information that's going on with hitting, with youth development, with fielding. Just, there's a ton of information out there. But it's one of the sayings, it's like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, you know. And that's, for me, what I try to pass to my kids. It's like, look, I'm going to help you get as good as you possibly can at this game, you know, but I'm going to do it with love and compassion. But at the same time, like, look, we're here to get better. Like, we ain't gonna be messing around. Like, it's man, you know. So it's just like, kind of going back to what you said, understanding who's in front of you and knowing that, hey, I may be able to jump on his butt and he's gonna respond, but that kid right there, I gotta kind of pull to the side and maybe talk to him on one-on-one, and that's how he's responding. So it's a little bit of psychology too. So that's why I'm going back to school to get my degree in sports psychology too.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yep.
I was just about to say, like, dude, you got to be kind of a psychologist to be a great coach.
You have to. I think it's just people, man. Knowing people. Exactly. You know, knowing people. Yep.
And I know I'm assuming the recruiting process was a little bit different back in 2005 than it is now.
I didn't get recruited.
What was it like for you to get seen by TSU? Like,
I walked on, man. I walked on to Texas Southern. I couldn't, you know, talk anything about the recruiting process from a player's perspective. You know, my senior year in high school, I didn't get recruited. You know, I ended up walking on to Texas Southern, and that's how I got my opportunity to go there. From a coaching standpoint, I've been through it, and so I understand it more. I didn't experience it much through the high school level, but I experienced it a lot with my travel teams and my high school guys, and being able to help them get to the next level. And so one of the guys that speaks out, you know, or sticks out to me rather, is a kid named Justin Harrison, who I got on at. Well, I didn't get him on. We worked together to get him into Morehouse University. And so it's just calling, you know, networking, building a network of people who can take your word. Right. You know, if you say, hey, this kid is such and such, they're going to take a look at him, and your word's got to mean something. And so when you start building that relationship with coaches, or saying, hey, you know, I got a guy, come check him out, they're going to know, like, you got a guy. He's, you know, versus the other side of it, where you say you got a guy and they're like, okay, look, this guy is like, he's not a guy, whether it be grades or whether it be, you know, athleticism. Yeah. Like, look, and so your word doesn't mean any much. And so that's how I learned the recruiting process, actually helping my guys get to that next level through my select organization.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And like, that's what I want to dive into now, is because like at 2-1 Performance, we're consultants with like high school athletes and parents on how to get recruited. Yep. There's a lot of parents who have not been there. They don't really know the process, and it's always ever changing.
Yeah.
So like, with Perfect Game out there, all these rankings, all these ratings, what would you recommend? How would you recommend a high schooler, say a freshman in high school, what route should they take? Like, how do they get seen nowadays?
Man, that's such a loaded question, because there's so many different ways to promote yourself, you know, from social media, you know. I'm a firm believer also too, if you're good, the schools will find you, you know what I mean? But I also think, you know, like, so let's say, you know, you take that freshman, right? Well, one, you got to make sure you got something to showcase if you're going to do a showcase, right? Mm-hmm. So from a physical standpoint, you got to be in shape, you know what I mean? You got to be able to take care of your body. You have to have, you know, there's certain metrics that schools look for, whether it be exit velo, whether it be velocity across the diamond, whatever your position is, they're looking for certain metrics, your 60 time. And then from there, like to me, the biggest thing outside of all of that stuff is like, dude, make sure you're on top of your grades. Whatever school that it is that you're trying to go to, like a D1 school, like if you're going to try to go, grades come first, man. And so make sure your GPA is intact. But actually, like what to do, I mean, social media, you can start, making highlight videos. Like that's what I did with Justin Harrison. He and I made videos of his swing, doing his 60 time, his infield work, and you're trying to present the best views of yourself that you possibly can. And if you have in-game footage in there, that's even better because that shows how you perform under pressure. But the biggest thing that coaches and that I've heard from my own experience is that they want to see how you fail as well. That's the biggest thing. Like, coaching at St. Thomas and high school guys and just in general, man, like your body language is huge, and so you shouldn't. And I just heard this the other day. I believe it was Derek Jeter's dad told him that he shouldn't know that if he went 0 for 3 that day with 3 Ks or 3 for 3 with 3 bombs that day, because you approach it the same way. It's business-like, right? You come out there, you're having a good day, good. Nobody should know about it, right? If you're having a bad day, good. Nobody should. It's about being able to work through that adversity or work through whatever it is that you're going through and not let it affect you. Because the way that I put it to some of my guys is, let's just say you are going 0 for 3 with 3 Ks that day, right? And you come up in the last inning with an opportunity to win the game and you get a base knock to win the game. Nobody cares about that 0 for 3 with 3 Ks Nobody remembers that, man. Nobody remembers that at all. People remember, the last thing, but you're not there and you're not in a position to do that if you're not mentally prepared for it to say, okay, yeah, that's over with. Let me move on to the next thing. So it's a multitude of things, but I think the first two though is just, man, how you handle failure. And then making sure you're on top of your grades. And then if you're going to do the showcase route, make sure you got something to showcase. Like, don't go out there and spend your parents' money if you don't have nothing to showcase, man.
Control the controllables.
Yep.
If you have great character, carry yourself in a professional manner, take care of your grades. I don't think a lot of parents realize there's only 11.7% scholarships in college baseball. Man. That means chances are, especially if you're a position player, you're not getting a full ride.
Right.
And so I think getting academic money is essential. And we preach that heavily to the athletes that we work with. I'm sure you do as well. Is like, hey, what are your SAT scores?
Right.
Go to SAT tutoring courses. Retake it.
Right.
Making sure that you're in the best position possible, and control the variables. It's like there's a lot of things that are out of your control. But again, like with the showcases, if you're not a 6'4" guy hitting bombs, and if you don't have a good arm, develop your skills. Maybe get in the weight room. Yep. Get with a nutrition coach. Get with a personal trainer, work on the things you can. I think, and also stick to your game.
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys who are 5'6", 140 trying to swing like they're Aaron Judge, and that you got to know your role, man.
Right. I think being true to yourself is definitely key to success in anything you do, whether that's baseball or just life in general. But I think one of the other things that you hit on too is that people sleep on is the performance and the nutrition, right? Like being able to, take care, like your body is your key to success in sports and in life. And so, being able to get on a nutrition program in 9th grade, right? Whether you're a bigger guy, whether you're a smaller guy, like there's things that you can do to change the fuel that you're putting into your body, to help you, get the most out of your workouts, but also get the most out of yourself when you go to the games to perform.
And I know you practice what you preach. You're always going to your foods.
Yeah,
you're
man.
Training.
Yeah, man. I got, but the thing was, I wish I knew some of the stuff, like a lot of the stuff that I know now when I was playing, man. And I think everybody says that. But dude, I never worked out when I was playing baseball, man.
Not even at TSU.
Dude, I was just naturally, and I wasn't even in shape. Like I was like a kind of chubby. I was always like 6'1", 6'2", 6'2". Hold on, 6'2". But just chubby, man. And I ate bad, dude. I did. But now, wanting to be a example for the kids that I coach, you know what I mean? Because like kids now, man, they have so much access to everything, but they're also still like a sponge. And so, you know, I know for myself, I would hate if a coach told us, oh, you got sprints, or oh, you got to do this and that, and he couldn't do it. You know,
Correct.
like he was out of shape, and I'm like, man, come on, like no, man. So, you know, you got to practice what you preach. You know, you definitely have to take care of your body. I take care of my body as much as I possibly can now. Like it's to the point where my wife, like she hates cooking for me. Especially she's like, I don't know, you eat too healthy, and I'm like, well, look, this is what I do now. You know, so I have my days where you know I eat whatever I want to eat. But I think more than anything too, on that aspect of it is just figuring out a routine and a habit when it comes to your nutrition that works for you.
Yes.
Yep.
I couldn't agree more because I remember my freshman year when I was at St. Thomas, playing on JV. Craig Biggio had just retired.
That's awesome. You missed Biggio.
No, I was there.
He was there. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I played with
awesome.
Kevin, and Connor was a couple years older, and I just remember he was 44, still shredded and jacked.
That's crazy.
And he was racing the fastest kids in our program and beating them.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And so I think respect goes a long way. It's like if you practice what you preach,
yeah, man.
if you're in shape, if you're going out there running with your kids, it's like, hey man, I respect Coach. I'm gonna listen to what he says.
Exactly.
He's gonna get the most out of me.
Yep. Yeah. No, man. I kids gonna tell you the truth, man. They're gonna tell you the truth. They're gonna tell you if you're in shape, or they're gonna tell you if you're fat. So you better be doing what you're supposed to be doing, man. So, but yeah, they you know. But again, going back to myself, that's why that's one of the reasons. Outside the fact when I have kids myself, I do want to be an example for them. But it's just in the coaching world, for me, I don't take it lightly because you're impacting the lives of a lot of little kids. At least for me, right? I'm working with kids ages, a good majority of my kids are ages 6 to 12, right? And so like 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 are like those really, really foundational years where they are learning and retaining everything that they're going to keep for the rest of their lives, And so for me, I want to be able to be an example for them in all ways, and something that they can look up to and model themselves after, not necessarily being me, but being like me in their own way.
And being a mentor for them.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Man. Yeah.
And going back to your collegiate career at Texas Southern, so what position were you playing? And you said you played there like a year?
Dude, so my I'm telling you, school was not my thing, man. So like, first semester I was there, I was going through the process of, getting my stuff situated for study hall, getting like just prepared for, like going through all the fall workouts, just getting prepared for the spring. Okay. Spring rolls around. I was at Celebration Station, so this was a minute ago. I was hitting, and I saw a guy at the batting cage hitting. And this is how I got into independent ball. He had a shirt on, said Bay Area Toros. I asked him what it was, and he told me about independent ball. And at that time, I had no clue what independent ball was. And he told me about it, and I asked him, not knowing, I'm like, well, do you think I'm good enough to play independent ball? He's like, yeah, your swing looks good. And so I left TSU and went to go play independent ball, man. And I didn't even finish my second semester.
It's like an 18, 19-year-old kid. You're just like, I'm out.
Man, that was I graduated from Westbury 2005, but I didn't end up going to Texas Southern until I was 20 or 21.
Okay.
So there was a couple of years in there where I was just like working and just hanging out. I didn't go right into school after I graduated from high school.
And for those who don't know, like, what is independent baseball and where is the Pecos League located?
Man, so the Pecos Spring League is actually located here in Houston, Texas. It's run by a guy named Andrew Dunn in Pearland. And so what they do is they have all their spring ball here, and then the actual Pecos League is, well, at that time it was just on the West Coast, so like Arizona, New Mexico, California, all those places. But now it's spread, and now I think they're even in Kansas. It's all over now. Actually, they have a team in Austin now. They got a team in Austin now. Here, yeah. And independent ball is pretty much it's professional baseball, but they're not associated with a major league team. So where you have single A, double A, triple A, rookie ball that has an up line to the major league, this is professional baseball, but completely independent of any team. And so for you to get like a real look, and for guys to for teams to come see you, you got to be doing really, really well. It's more so for guys. Two things. It's more so for guys who have played either double A, triple A, and have been released, and they still want to play ball, right? And so they go and play independent ball. Or it's for guys like myself, who are hard-headed and don't want to go to school and are still trying to play professional baseball, but you don't have any college or professional background to kind of solidify who you are, right? And so it's fun. I have fun playing, but it's rough, man. It's very, very low level baseball. Some of the fields aren't taken the best care of, but depending on what league that you're in. So depending on I know the league here before the Space Cowboys were the Space Cowboys, there was the Sugarland Skeeters, and Sugarland Skeeters were, God, I can't remember what Coastal League. I can't remember what league they were in. But they got a great stadium. They had some really good guys playing too. Like Roger Clemens was there at once. Tracy McGrady pitched for him. They had some high name guys there.
So did you face some dudes in independent ball?
Man. So imagine going from high school and not seeing, I think I maybe faced 90 once, maybe twice, in high school, and then going to independent ball and seeing 95, 96, 97, 98. There was two guys. There was one guy, and I never knew his name. I just remember I can see him physically in my head, and his stature. He's probably 6'6", 6'7", double A guy from the Yankees. He had dropped down, had been released from the Yankees. 98, and I mean just dotting on the corners, and I'm just damn, man, I've never seen this before. But it's like with anything though, the more you see it, the more you get used to it, the more you can get your timing down, the more you hit it. And so I had some successes with it. Yep.
And what's the schedule like in an independent ball league? Is it every night you're playing, or is it?
So it's a every night. You're playing about 60 games, and you're constantly traveling too, man. You're always on the road, you're always on the go. Back then, when the Pecos League first came out, I wasn't on the show, but there was actually a show on the Pecos League showing how they traveled on buses and some of the worst buses and just
breaking down.
Yeah, man, dude, it wasn't the best way to travel. But I mean, when you're chasing your dream, you know what I mean, and It's something that you love, you'll make the sacrifices to do whatever it is that it takes to try to get you where you're trying to get to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
And tell us a little bit about Protege Athletics and what you're doing now for athletes in the community.
Oh man, dude. So man, Protege Athletics has been. When did I start it? 2016. What are we in? 24. So 2016, I started it, and it actually started as Protege Baseball, which was just my travel teams. Mm-hmm. And then from 2016 to 2019, I had teams, and just it kind of expanded faster than what I was ready for, and so I had to take a step back from it. And that's actually when I got on at St. Thomas, when I took a step back from Protege Baseball, and was like, you know what, let me kind of revisit and figure out how I want to pursue this. And so my ultimate goal is to be able to provide a facility for baseball and softball players. But the athletics parts come in, just the performance as well, right? Being able to, train your body. Most facilities just offer hitting and fielding and that type of instruction. But for me, I want to be able to offer a facility where it's one stop, where you get everything, right? So from study hall, and having a tutor to come in and work with you, having a regulated size infield, cages, multiple pitching lanes, recovery, a nutrition spot, just everything an athlete can possibly think of that they need to be a student athlete right there in one. And so right now, I've just been focusing on, private training, but now I'm starting to expand into the select baseball world. I do have my select team, the Houston Eagles, which is the logo and the hat that I'm wearing. And my next phase that I'm trying to work into is being able to open up another facility that's much bigger in the Heights area, and be able to provide what I just said, but kind of like on a smaller scale. And then as the business grows, expand it to something much bigger, man. So.
And the age range is from 6 to college, essentially.
Yeah, and so that's it. That's the thing. I want to be able to, tap into everybody, but I can only do so much, and so my niche and my sweet spot, and I love working with like 6 to 12-year-olds, but that doesn't that doesn't mean whether I either myself or won't be able to have someone else who can work with that 13 and up or that 13 to 15, because like I look at it like this. You have kind of like specific niches that somebody is like just really good at. Like, and for me, I'm really good in that 6 to 12 area. But I'm also good with like high school guys too, because like the way that I talk with my 6 to 12-year-olds and relate with them is completely different how I talk to my high school guys. But I feel like my biggest impact would be made over here.
Yes.
I want to be able to have somebody else, and I do have a couple of other coaches that are working with me that can impact those high school guys and can help them with that recruiting process because they've actually been through it, right? I don't want to put myself in a position to be a coach that's working with high school guys, so to speak, but I haven't actually been through that recruiting process myself as a player, right? I know it from a coaching perspective, yes, but it's a different perspective when you've actually been through it as a player, and so the feelings of it, right? Yeah. You know the everything, the ups and downs that goes through the recruiting process as a player, and so to be able to have somebody that can do that, it's huge for me, and I think it would be more beneficial for my athletes.
And I think it's important that our viewers kind of check out your social media pages as well. We'll make sure we attach that on there. Where can they find you on Instagram?
So it's at _baseball_performance coach on Instagram, and it's the same on TikTok too.
Awesome. Well, Coach B, man, we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Let me know whenever you guys are ready, man. I'm down.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.